Good morning, everybody. My name is Dinesh Vandayar. I lead the go-to-market for the SAP business at Google Cloud. We have two other presenters, Andy and Morgan, who will introduce shortly. But the goals of this session is we'll discuss why is it necessary to move your ERP system to the cloud. What are some of the market conditions? Customers have deployed ERP systems, predominantly SAP systems, for about 2 to 3 decades. And a vast majority of them are still on-premise. So why is it necessary to move these systems to the cloud? Secondly, we'll briefly talk about the RISE offering from SAP. It's, RISE with SAP, it's a cloud-based offering that SAP launched sometime in January of 2021. And there's been a pretty wide adoption of that product. We'll briefly discuss its value. And thirdly, we'll also talk about why Google Cloud, what is the value proposition that Google Cloud brings for RISE workloads. And then Andy will talk a little bit about the customers that have embraced this journey and what were some of the outcomes that they have seen from adopting RISE with SAP and Google Cloud. And finally, but not the least, Morgan's going to discuss a partner's perspective. She's seen a lot of these customers adopt RISE with SAP and Google, and she's going to provide how they did it, details about how they did it, and what were some of the outcomes that they saw. Andy, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, great. Thanks, Dinesh. Hi, everyone. Andy Walker. I'm an SAP director with Google Cloud, helping support customers' journey in SAP transformation. I've got about 20 years of experience of doing that, from being a customer to a consultant to now helping kind of guide customers as part of a partner ecosystem in their migrations to the cloud through RISE.
Hello, everyone. Morgan Fletcher. I'm the VP of SAP Strategy at Navisite. So my focus is really on understanding the business challenges that our customers work with on a day in and day basis, how that correlates to the technology that exists in our space with SAP and partners like Google, and bringing that innovation to realization for our customers. Nice to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you. So why is it important? So if you look at the statement from Gartner, more than 95% of all the digital workloads will have to be on cloud-native platforms by 2025. That's only about 2 years away. If you look at the statement closely, why is it important? Why does it have to be cloud-native platforms? Right? So if you look at industries and customers, there are tremendous pressure to create new business models and net new revenue streams. For example, if you look at the automotive industry, it's all about connected car. It's all about shared mobility. It's all about electrification. If you look at retail and CPG companies, it's all about hyper-personalization. Gone are the days when you could market to the masses, but now it's about creating the right order at the right time for the right customer. If you look at life sciences, it's all about patient experience and patient outcomes. And if you look at these use cases, for example, if you look at connected car, one of the use cases, how do I offer a modern shopping experience from inside the automobile and be able to consummate the sale from inside the automobile. These use cases are very dynamic. So the need for it to be on a cloud-native platform is really important because these trends are changing all the time. In order to respond to these trends that change, you need to have an application that's sort of dynamic as well, right? So on top of that, if you look at it, this conference is, if there's one thing, it's clear we're clearly in the era of artificial intelligence. As Sundar mentioned it yesterday in his keynote, every sector, every industry, every business function will be changed by AI, and it will fundamentally change how we live and work, right? So this is, clearly in the era of artificial intelligence. For example, McKinsey did an analysis very recently on the economic potential of only generative AI. Right? They looked at 63 use cases across different industries, which will benefit from the adoption of Gen AI, and they attributed a staggering value of $2.6 trillion to $4.6 trillion in additional value from just adopting generative AI for those 63 use cases. It's a fascinating report. It was published in June of 2023. You can obviously Google it. It's available for free. Very interesting report in terms of the capabilities of AI. So to me, I think the adoption of these kinds of new business models and the predominance of AI playing in these business models is going to drive a lot of cloud-based adoption. And you might say, cloud is, artificial intelligence is kind of cool for some of the use cases like connected cars, some of these new business models. But how does it help like a stodgy old business process, in an ERP system? For example, if you think about, predictive maintenance, we've been trying to solve predictive maintenance for multiple decades, right? So if you look at the systems that we have today, most of the systems are what I call rules-based or heuristics, right? Basically, you codify certain rules in a program. For example, if a certain temperature threshold or a pressure threshold is exceeded, send me an alert, right? It works, but it's definitely not good enough, right? But if I can take that same problem and augment that data set with additional multidimensional data models, whether it's photographic images or video files, and apply AI on top of those, then you can significantly improve your ability to predict when a machine is going to fail. Manufacturers have been chasing overall equipment effectiveness, OEE score, which is a measure of throughput, availability, and quality for many centuries, many decades actually. And for us, in terms of applying AI to solve, use cases like predictive maintenance, you can significantly improve your OEE score. So that's, for us, it's when you think about, the pressure to create new business models, the pressure to create net new revenue streams, you cannot simply do all of those things by having your ERP system on premise. It's a strategic system. It has all the business data, so it's absolutely necessary to move your ERP system to the cloud. And this is where SAP's RISE offering is unique. They launched this service in 2021, January of 2021, and there's been pretty wide adoption, across the marketplace. And we at Google here see a lot of adoption of customers using RISE with SAP. And it offers an easy migration path. If you're an existing customer running, SAP ERP on premise, it offers an easy path to go to the cloud. If you're a net new customer, obviously it's, you're going to start with the cloud-based ERP application. And Morgan's going to cover a little bit more detail about what is RISE and how customers actually adopt this in her talk. So what does Google bring to the table, right? There's really two things that we focus on. One is we looked at all the mega processes that SAP has within the ERP systems. Processes like order to cash, plan to manufacture, procure to pay. All of these mega processes, we looked at it from an angle of where we can actually augment SAP data with Google data signals and apply AI to improve a core process or a business outcome within that process. For example, if you look at demand forecasting, traditionally a lot of demand forecasting is based on historical data. You use about 2 to 3 years worth of historical data. You apply a statistical model. It understands the patterns, and then out comes the statistical forecast. And then the consensus forecast is usually built based on the planner's gut and experience. And it's really a negotiation between sales, marketing, and manufacturing. It's really not based on facts and data, right? But if I can take that process, typically for any particular industry, there's about 10 to 15 causal factors that impact demand. If I can understand what those causal factors are, if I can understand what those data sets are that represents those causal factors, augment the historical data that SAP has, and apply AI on top of this, then we can significantly improve forecast accuracy. We have examples where we've actually shown 10 to 15% improvement in forecast accuracy, which leads to about 5% reduction in working capital. So these are big levers that you can move. And we have a catalog of these use cases that we built in collaboration with SAP. And it's all done through what SAP calls their Business Technology Platform, or BTP in short, which is aligned with SAP's messaging of keeping the core clean. So keep the core clean, don't customize, don't bastardize your core. Do all the innovations on the edges, using BTP. And in this case, it's all done through BTP and augmenting with Google data and Google AI and ML. The second area that we actually bring value to our customers is in the area of analytics. So as most of you probably know that we announced a massive partnership with SAP in May at their conference at Sapphire, how we can actually bring data sets from SAP and Google together. So if you look at most customers, obviously SAP is a system of record, A lot of the business data actually resides in SAP systems, and there are multiple SAP source systems as well, right? So you have not only S/4HANA, but you have Ariba, Concur, SuccessFactors, and so on. So in this methodology, all of the SAP applications, the data will reside in DataSphere, which is their cloud-based data warehouse. But customers are demanding, insights that there are other data sets that need to be brought in. So a lot of those other data sets, non-SAP data sources, will be in Google BigQuery, specifically within Google Cortex, which is a framework within BigQuery. And it can be petabyte scale, right? A lot of these data sets really could be petabyte scale. And we have a method to actually connect these two data sets, a connector that basically decides based on the use case whether you can just federate the data, or in cases where you need to move the data for intense AI and ML training. So this partnership has yielded a lot of good use cases that we can solve for as well. And things like inventory management, customers typically struggle to solve these use cases. Obviously, a record of inventory in SAP, but there are other systems that have inventory information. And typically, if I want to understand what the inventory for a particular product is, you have to do almost a data gymnastics to pull data from multiple systems and stitch it together to create a simple inventory report. In this particular platform, SAP data resides in SAP. We pull some of the other data, inventory data from other systems, and then basically, tie the data sets together to provide insights more, quickly than what's possible today. And there are several use cases that we can actually do with this analytics platform. And lastly, I would be remiss, if I don't mention one of the technical advantages. We have something called live migration. In my 27 years in working in the SAP ecosystem, there's not a single customer that I've met that will voluntarily take a downtime. So it's important to keep your SAP systems up and running. And we have this feature called live migration, where we never ask our customers to take downtime based on anything that we have to do to the virtual machines themselves, whether it's applying a security patch or OSS patch. We don't actually ask the customers to take downtime. We have this live migration feature, which automatically moves the workload from one VM to another VM with absolutely zero latency, so customers don't have to take any downtime. So that's kind of the advantage that Google brings to SAP customers, and we've a lot of examples, and I want Andy to actually go through a few of these examples that we have, customers that have adopted this journey and have seen benefits. Andy?
Thank you, Dinesh. All right, so before I get into the customer examples, I just wanted to kind of provide some little context about what's differentiated in terms of our partnership with SAP. Really, when you look at Google, in 25 short years, we've gone from two guys in a garage to one of the few trillion-dollar valuated companies with over 9 billion plus user products, all globally scalable. And that's powered by our Google Cloud Network, which is the world's largest private fiber network. It's the network that's able to provide reliability, security, uptime, features like live migration, which Dinesh talked about, and a differentiated capability for our customers, and was one of the driving forces that had SAP turn to Google in deciding to run all of their S4 product development on Google Cloud. So they've got 20,000 developers driving all their future product development on their core ERP, S4. And we have a number of their other line of business applications that have either chosen to use Google either exclusively as part of their multi-cloud strategy to include Ariba, SuccessFactors, BTP, to name a few as well. And as Dinesh alluded to, we've now started to expand what has been a deeply rooted technical infrastructure-based engineering partnership to the data cloud and the AI space with the DataSphere partnership announcement. And so now customers are looking at how can I transform and modernize my SAP analytics stack with a serverless petabyte scale capability and BigQuery and Cortex and all the innovation that brings with me. I think, in fact, yesterday we even heard from Jürgen, the CTO of SAP, announcing some additional capabilities around Gen AI. So we're just at the tip of the spear here in terms of unlocking capabilities with AI and soon to be Gen AI to allow us to better serve our customers and meet them where they are in their transformation journey. And at Alphabet, really, when you look at our latest quarterly earnings report, we were just a little under $75 billion in revenue. All that kind of achieved leading up to over the course of the last 25 years. And about 5 years ago, our CFO was kind of faced with a decision and a reality that, hey, the applications and technologies that got me here today are not going to propel me to where I need to be in terms of growth in the future. And Google similarly turned to SAP for our own wall-to-wall S4 transformation. We have one of the largest deployments of S4 for treasury and finance, and one of the cleanest deployments of S4 as well. And as Dinesh kind of talked about leveraging the whole clean core capability, we leverage BTP as well to drive innovation around the edge, leveraging some of our own AI capabilities to help with driving expedited month-end, quarter-end, and year-end close, and leveraging things such as chatbots to help discern between personal and general inquiries. And we take all those capabilities that we're using internally to run our own business, and we package them as part of our Cortex framework and make that innovation available to our customers as well. So with that, I wanted to kind of recognize a few customer stories and understand that each customer journey path is unique. And wanted to talk about some of the journey paths that customers have taken with us and SAP to date, just to provide some examples. So GCP Applied Technologies is a global construction products company. It's based in Alpharetta, Georgia. They've got over 74 manufacturing and technology sites. And they really kind of focus on the development of high-performance construction product, the advancement of construction technologies, as well as serving the exceptional needs of their customers across 100 countries globally. And really, they were faced with a data center exit tied to the need to relocate their corporate headquarters. And they chose to migrate all 100+ applications, including a transformation with RISE of their SAP landscape to Suite on HANA on Google Cloud. They all ultimately chose Google for the performance, security, reliability, and operations management that comes along with that. And they've also positioned themselves in their tech stack to be able to go to S4 when they're ready in the future. Heartland Dental is the largest dental support organization in the United States. They've got over 20,000 team members, 1,650 offices supported, 2,600 doctors supported across 38 states. And really, they started with an innovation-first agenda where they're leveraging DataSphere and Cortex to be able to process a massive payer table on HANA that is then extracted to BigQuery. They're able to essentially extract large amounts of data and be able to run scrubs of the internet to be able to do price arbitration to support their plan and payer optimization. They're also leveraging Doc.ai in order to support analysis and anomaly detections within their explanation of benefits to support compliance uploads as well. Additionally, kind of turning to Spin Master, so they're a leading global children's entertainment company. They specialize in providing exceptional experience for children through their most notable brands in the toy space, specifically around their Hatchimals and Rubik's Cubes. And I'm sure you're kind of familiar, and your kids, if you have kids, are kind of familiar with some of the products that they have in the marketplace. And really, their CIO, came to the conclusion very early on that his need to transform to S4 was not separate from his need to drive transformation within his data landscape. And seeing the IP that Google was able to bring to the table in terms of the Cortex framework and our broader partnership capabilities, he saw the opportunity to be able to drive his RISE on S4 transformation with Google Cloud across his business. Last but not least, AGCO is a global leader in the design, manufacture, and distribution of agricultural equipment. And a large company, $12 billion in revenue, and they chose to use RISE to be able to drive innovation within one of their specific line of business, specifically within their wholesale business, to drive their S4 transformation on Google Cloud. They actually just went live on that right now. So with each of these customers, as you see, their journey path's a little bit different. Some of them kind of started with a big bang, whole data center transformation. Some started with an innovation-first agenda. Some of them started with a line of business-based innovation. And would be happy when we get to the Q&A question to kind of answer any questions in that regard. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Morgan, who's going to provide us a partner perspective on RISE and Google. Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you, Andy. So before I get started, I think it's just good to cover off a little bit on who Navisite is. I feel really excited to have the opportunity to be in front of everyone here and talk a little bit about why having the right partner in place with your evaluation journey to S4 Rise or any new technology is important. Navisite is a global digital transformation organization, and we're working very closely with business and IT to help our customers transform how they operate today. As many of you know, that transformation can look very different in each organization, depending on digital readiness, depending on your availability and willingness to move to the cloud, and depending on the business's acceptance of change, which is always a fun thing to work through. And so it's really our objective to bring industry expertise, solution expertise, and a problem-solving approach to each problem that we work with our clients. The point in starting at a problem-solving approach allows us to understand what the outcome of a solution should be so that we can back into what's the best way to get that and ensure that we're not changing your path in the long run. Everything that we do with our customers, the objective is to make sure we don't hinder your adoption of technology down the road. You'll see here with 24 years of SAP experience, our organization is well suited to speak about the success of S4 and RISE deployments. We've done ECC and we've helped clients move from those legacy ERPs to newer ERPs by helping them find what works for their business, which again is different depending on where each organization is at in their journey. On the right side, I highlight just some of our capabilities, and what I think is important on that part to understanding who we are and how we work with our customers is that we don't just start at the beginning with every client. There are some organizations who have already deployed a new solution and need a partner to help them roadmap. There are companies that we work with who are looking at fully transforming and moving to the cloud and don't know where to get started. And so our objective is to help streamline and simplify that approach in a trusted advisor way. So if we take a step back and look at how we help our customers leverage the innovation of RISE, you'll see, and you've heard from Andy and Dinesh, that it's continuous, right? And one of my favorite things to think about when I think about SAP and Google partnering is that you're setting yourself up for a partnership that has limitless innovation. So there's nothing holding you back from the new technology as it evolves. One of the first things that I think most customers experience when moving to RISE, and certainly that everyone looks for when building a business case to make an ERP transition, is a lower cost of ownership. And you may be thinking, everyone tells me there's a lower cost of ownership, but we get to the end, where is it really? And so we really see that with our clients by building out business cases around KPIs and where your business operations are before we get into the project. We measure that throughout the project, and then we measure it again at the end to say, this is what's working, your people are adopting the processes, this is successful. The reason that's important to do for us is because it helps you build business cases to support future roadmaps. Many customers, when they start on their ERP journey, make one jump in, find it really hard, get to the end, and take a pause on what comes next. Our objective in partnering with our customers is to make sure we don't take that pause, because technology isn't slowing down for us, so why would we slow down for it? The other key piece that you'll see up here that is really driving the innovation that comes with RISE and how customers leverage it today is the innovation and ability to consume it quickly. Both Andy and Dinesh touched on Clean Core, which is something you're going to continue to hear about from SAP and the partners that are utilizing it. The intent is really to keep the foundation clean, to utilize the best practices, the industry standards, and the functionality that SAP has put into their ERP to drive success, and use the surrounding technologies to maintain your special sauce. One of the things we're working through a lot when we're going through projects is, well, we don't want to lose our special sauce. We can't change this process because it just won't work the same. And I think the reality that we often bring is you can change that process and we can probably automate it more, which is going to create more driven clients and driven business leaders to adopt technology as they move on, because they're seeing the fulfillment in their daily today versus some of the admin that we want to automate for them. And the third piece is really around the differentiated capabilities with RISE. Some of them are listed up here, and we've talked a little bit about the new AI capabilities that are coming with the Google and SAP partnership. But one of the more exciting things is that it's not just what's in the core of SAP, it's the partnerships, the R&D investments, and the surrounding technologies that really allow you to expand how you think about an ERP. We're no longer just looking at a traditional ERP to help maintain our business. We're looking at a true partnership to scale how we think about technology and how we bring business and IT together to collaborate to better how businesses run. So unleashing the power of RISE. I love this slide, and I purposefully leave it vague because I like the idea of thinking about how technology can impact each line of business in an organization. It was said yesterday in the keynote that AI is going to touch every single part of our business at some point. What are we waiting for? And some of these, the most important part to understand is that, again, every client's journey to RISE, to innovation, to adopting new technology is different. Everyone's at a different starting point on how they begin that journey. In the middle market, a lot of times we see something that creates opportunity for change. M&A activity, a divestiture, expansion into new market, and much of what we've experienced over the past 2 years, external forces that are not within our control, but immediately make us have to adapt our business. We work very closely with our customers to make sure that they've got the support to do that, and that as they're building their future roadmaps forward, they've got the agility in their systems and technology to do so as well. If we look at just a couple of the examples, the first one focusing on finance. An organization took the time to step back. This company is running on S4 already. And what they did is they digitalized their payment processing and created a standard communication with all of their bank integrations and customers. What that did is gave them a day-to-day visibility into the liquidity of their business and a better understanding of cash flow and where issues exist and where they don't. The second would be around supply chain. This one's a great point because this customer wasn't quite ready for an ERP change, but they knew that they needed to evolve their business. So by taking multiple solutions, singling it to one, and providing a unified source of data, they were able to generate better visibility into the forecasting that they have on demand planning, and then further apply AI to that so that they can look at patterns and react and prepare for consistent themes that occur in that data. And then the procurement section here, if we dive into that one, this customer is a startup company. They're running on a small ERP. And they wanted to dip their toe into what does AI mean, what does automation mean, and how can we apply that to our business in a realistic way. They applied some automation to work in progress monitoring, which is a standard thing that happens for manufacturing companies. And typically, it's very manual, it's visual, right? We're watching when these are completed, and we're checking the box, and then it moves on in the process. Well, through some automated processes and data sets, they were able to automate that, giving 350 hours back to their business users. The reason this is such an important story to me is because in the middle market, even though we want to adapt and we want to change and we want to be excited about the technology that's there, we don't always have the resources and the support to do so. With partners that can help come alongside your team and support that journey, we see more and more customers in the mid-market diving headfirst into what AI can do. The 350 hours took them about 5 days of work with a partner to put together, and they're already experiencing that benefit. That's exciting because there's nothing too small that you can apply to your organization to start to experience the power of the technology that we have at our hands. So as we've all kind of alluded to, the journey to RISE and to S4 and to a full ERP transformation can impact your business beyond belief. But everyone's journey to get there looks different. A lot of people come to that with the expectation that this is what I've done somewhere else, or this is what someone else has done. And what we try to do is remove those perceptions from engaging with our customers to really understand, where are you today? What is your business ready for? And how do we help you actually roadmap how to get there out? Thank you.
Could just go up to the microphone so that way everyone can hear, both with the streaming and in the room. Thank you.
You can get to the microphone, please. Yeah.
Thanks for the informative session. So my first question would be regarding automation that was mentioned with Vertex AI and Recommendation AI, which is part of RISE. So is there any, you mentioned about business processes being automated. Do we have a use case, or is it already in progress? And also, is it exclusively only for RISE, or other customers can also leverage, if they're not part of RISE?
Yeah, I think we're building everything through, extending through BTP. We have a catalog of use cases that we've looked at, and I can share that with you. It's basically looking at all the mega processes and figuring out the criteria that we used is where can we augment SAP data with Google data signals and application of our AI and Vertex AI and ML. Would that improve the business outcomes for the customer? So we kind of applied that filter to the mega processes that I mentioned, and we've developed a catalog of use cases. The Gen AI use cases, there are a few, but a lot of them are in progress. It's relatively new. So we'll absolutely work with customers to figure out where it makes sense for them to drive a pilot to production.
Perfect. So if a customer goes with RISE, do they get this by default, or is there...
RISE with SAP and Google Cloud, you can absolutely, start utilizing those particular use cases that I spoke about.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you for the wonderful session. My question to Morgan is, how big was your S4 database size? Another question is, traditionally our IT teams manage the SAP, and once you move to the RISE, what was that reaction you observed? Thank you.
So I heard the second question, so I'll answer that first. And so if we look at the size of IT teams that are typically managing an S4 RISE environment, especially if moving from something potentially on-prem, yeah? I think it depends on the complexity of the organization and if you're working with a partner to build a shared COE. A lot of times, our customers in the mid-market space have anywhere from 2 to 10 people working in their IT space. We tend to fall more towards that 3, 5 is really the sweet spot in the mid-market, mostly because with RISE, you've got a lot of these technologies already at hand. It's being put in the cloud, so you're not managing the managed services of supporting those environments. What we see people do when they've got headcount that's doing that today and need to apply it elsewhere is we're moving them to how to better leverage the technology that exists within RISE, how to work more closely with the business users and help them adapt the system to support those use cases that they're bringing to IT and asking for changes. Sometimes that will be a little smaller, and that's usually where we come in. If a company doesn't have a team to support those requirements, then organizations like Navisite have managed service groups that can help provide innovation, road mapping, managed services, functional and technical, to help onboard and show you kind of the way of working with RISE. And I apologize, I didn't hear the first question, but...
I think he's talking to one of the specific examples.
Yeah, the S4 database.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but all of those examples I have case studies for. So if you catch me in the back, I'll give you my card and I can send it to you.
Hi. My question is to Dinesh. I just want to know, within the whole RISE, how much are you guys, what's in the roadmap for something like SLT for real-time replication data? I'm not sure if you spoke about it, but I want to know if it's currently in the process or is it in the horizon, and how you plan to bring that all together?
I think there's, it's a pretty complex question, right? So it depends on the use case as well, right? So in the cases for analytics, I mean, obviously the bidirectional connector between DataSphere and BigQuery, that's what we will use, right? Depending on, and again, it depends on whether the use case demands federation or demands data to be moved for maybe a larger machine learning model. So it depends on the use case, right? So that's kind of the plan. That's what customers are using.
Has somebody within RISE started doing near real-time replication of data already?
Yeah. Can you replicate his question, or just repeat?
I was just saying that, have you guys started seeing use cases where they're doing near real-time replication of the application data in SAP into BigQuery or other places?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's driven by the use case, right? So for example, one of the use cases where we see this adoption is quality management, right? So you have, SAP QM, and, you have a continuous process where, let's say, a set of products is running through an assembly line, and you want to make sure, if there are defects, in those products. So you can use Google Vertex AI, in this case, basically visual inspection, to look at and inspect those parts. And if there are defects, it real-time connects back through BTP into QM and triggers a creation of a defect in QM. So yes, I mean, it depends on the use case, and and based on that, we can decide which replication technology needs to be used. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you very much for attending the session. Thank you.
And we'll be available here if there's any questions off to the side. Thank you so much.
Thank you.